What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? After more than 100 episodes recorded with those very executives from companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix, Cigna, and Google, the answer is clear. They learned lessons in leadership from the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. Some of our guests' athletic experience earned them a place in their sports Hall of Fame, like Chick-fil-A Chairman Dan Cathy. Some hung up their cleats after high school, like Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian, while others, like Condoleezza Rice, claimed they were terrible in their sport. But no matter their skill level, they have all told me that being a part of a team taught them lessons they still use as leaders today. In partnership with Maxwell Leadership, I'm your host, Don Yeager, here to give you an all-access pass to genuine, authentic, fireside chat-like conversations with today's business icons so that you can create powerful, positive change in your own organization. This is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is Nick Lane, president of Equitable, leading the company's retirement, wealth management, and protection solution businesses and its marketing and digital functions. Nick has held many leadership roles in his nearly 15-year career with the company. Most recently, he served as CEO and president of AXA Japan, where he was responsible for a $5.4 billion annual revenue business and led a team of 9,000 employees and distributors. I can't wait to dive into the lessons Nick learned playing lacrosse at Princeton, where he won 2 national championships while being coached by a Hall of Fame legend and one of the winningest coaches in the sport. We put together fill-in-the-blank notes and reflection questions for today's episode on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com/139. Download those resources and get your pen ready because the lessons are coming.
You have never failed until you say in your mind that you failed. The greatest thing about the Marine Corps is the power of the human spirit, the humanity. People are anchored in purpose, but they root harder for their teammates to be successful than they do for themselves. It is this commitment, this relentless spirit, and so the most powerful weapon you have is the 6 inches between your ears. It is your mind.
Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Don. I'm a big admirer of your work, and it's a privilege to be with you.
Well, success is a consistent through line in your life. As your colleague Connie Weaver introduced you to me, it almost sounded like you'd lived 2 lives. You've created so much success. One of the great accomplishments was as a Princeton lacrosse player, where you won 2 national championships, All-American, and you're one of the all-time greats in that sport at a school where that sport matters. So I wanted to start by taking you back to those Princeton days and see if you can give me an early favorite story from that competitive environment.
There were many, Don, but probably the 1992 national championship game, Princeton versus Syracuse, David versus Goliath. Coach Tierney took over the program 5 years prior. They were the doormat of the Ivy League, let alone competing for national championships. And there we are in our first national championship game, fighting the mighty Syracuse juggernaut, having won 3 of the last 4 national championship games. On paper, it looked like they were going to steamroll us. But Coach Tierney had us prepared, and probably nobody except for our team in the locker room expected us to win. We believed we had a chance. Game opened up. We played a flawless first half. We were up 6-0. Then Syracuse started to storm back. It became a battle. Tied 8-8, going into the last couple of minutes. We score, we're up 9-8. And with about 40 seconds left, there's a miscue in our defensive zone. We're trying to clear the ball. They scoop it up, they score, they tie it. This gas sort of comes out of the crowd. There's nothing more thrilling than sudden death overtime. And that first sudden death was electric. Balls are hitting the crossbar, great saves, and it goes into a second overtime. In the opening face-off, Andy Moe, who was the only fifth-year senior on the team, had been part of that original 2-10 team under Tierney, scoops up the ball, runs down all the way, shoots and scores.
Boy.
shock, pandemonium, people hugging each other. It really put Princeton Lacrosse on the map. It put Coach Tierney on the map. And standing there as a freshman, this is just the beginning. That's a special memory, Don.
So 5 years, Coach Tierney, from doormat to national title. What can you take from someone that can take something as 2-10-ish and actually bring them to the cusp of greatness?
Coach Tierney did dream big. He brought a lot of passion to everything he did. He was a passionate coach. In his heart, he was a teacher. He would take little details and say, what you do every day matters. The little details matter. We used to practice on Poe Field and used to have to run out from the locker room. It was about a mile away. You'd start out with 30 balls and you needed to make sure you had 20 balls before you could run back in. And this one week, it was sort of cold. It was raining. We had a lot of schoolwork. And the freshman goalie would always count the balls. And he said, Coach T, we have 20 balls. Coach Tierney looks in, he goes, we have 20 balls? Count them out. Well, if you looked at that bag, you knew there were not 20 balls. And you could see the team looking, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I give our freshman goalie at the time credit. We got to about 16, and then he's trying to do the hidden ball trick of recounting balls to somehow get to 20. And then Coach Tierney started talking. If you're going to cut corners in practice, you're going to cut corners games. You're going to start cutting corners in your schoolwork. You're going to start cutting corners in your job. You start cutting corners in life with the law. At the end of this speech, we were all in jail and we were all destitute. You got the point. Details matter. Put in the hard work. Don't compromise on that. And he instilled in his players, he instilled in me this notion of believe in yourself, believe in your teammates, believe in the system, and believe you can accomplish the impossible. And then he broke it down into specific milestones, that ladder of how you got there. It's not just about winning the games. He wanted to change people's lives, keeping score on the impact you have on people. That purpose extends to business. What do you do for the American public? What do you do for your clients? How are you helping them being successful in their journeys?
And in some ways, you as a leader need to create that same ladder for those who work with you. You've got to be able to articulate a vision. You've got to be able to make sure they're very clear on it. I had the great fortune of working with John Wooden, the basketball coach at UCLA for many years. We wrote a book together. His entire opening practice for every incoming freshman class was how to tie their shoes and socks on right, because he wanted to make sure they managed the little details. How do you apply that when you're working with your team?
It starts with the conversation of the power of we versus the power of I. If you're not thinking big enough, if you imagine you can do everything yourself, you should have a bigger dream. Why does the team matter? It's complementary skills. And in team sports, you have offensive-minded people, you've got your midfielders, you have your defense. Everybody plays a role. What they do in that role matters. They contribute to the team's success. We're a retirement company. We help people envision the next chapter of their lives. We give them a plan. We give them a solution. What is going to help them achieve peace of mind, envisioning that next phase where they'll have emotional peace of mind, administrative peace of mind, and financial peace of mind. A client recently that had bought a policy back in 1950 in their 20s, passed away in their late 90s. And we passed on their legacy. That's over a century. One person can't do that. That's a team. That goes from our sales team to our service team to our product team to our IT team. Every detail matters. So we talk a lot about what roles do people play and why that matters to the greater good.
And I know servant leadership is a real big theme for you. I would think just in the work product that you are delivering and what it requires in order to be best in class to serve the people you serve, servant leadership has to be a model top to bottom. How do you teach servant leadership?
With that notion of purpose, the role of a coach is to make the players better. The players are the ones on the field. The second thing is the way you keep score. I keep score based on the client lives that we've changed, the people's lives that we've changed. How do you express those core values of what matters? Leaders set the tone. If you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. What do you do on a daily basis that are helping people get better? How are you teaching them skills? How are you creating that environment where they feel that they can truly bring out their best? And you've got to be humble. How do you create this dialogue and connection? Great coaches find a way to connect with their players. They really feel that their players' opinions matter, and they're doing it for them. They're not doing it for themselves. I had the privilege of being the CEO in Japan. We had 8,000 employees. We were looking to transform our product offering to more of a platform advice health offering. Japan's an amazing country, but in Japan, yes means yes, yes means no, and yes means maybe. I show up and I'm talking about the vision. You think you have buy-in, and 6 months later, nothing's really happening. It was actually a different event that I think got the buy-in, and it was talking about how we were going to be there for our clients. Now, I had shown up not that far after the tragedy of Fukushima. 10,000 Japanese citizens lost their life. But during that period, expatriates in Japan, about 90% left. They were concerned for their families. They were concerned for their safety. North Korea was sending over some ballistic missiles, and somebody at the Home Office said, look, we need a plan in terms of what happens if this actually lands in Tokyo. We went around and we started to talk about the plan and what we were going to do. I can remember looking at the team, and I looked at our CFO and I said, Sumiya-sen, if we get to this level, you are going to go to our disaster recovery site. And then I looked to our head of our distribution and I said, Komodo-san, you and I will stay in Tokyo. You'll deal with what comes. They didn't say anything. They looked me in the eye and they knew that I meant it, and they nodded their heads. I was all in for our clients. I was all in for the team. And that's when we got buy-in behind the transformation to better serve our clients. That year, we had a record sales year in terms of launching our new offerings. It was those little things. It was that buy-in. Are you going to be there for us? Are you going to be there for the clients? That's what's important.
You weren't headed to safety. You were going to be there to make sure that the organization, the clients, and the employees were all as well taken care of as they could, with the leader from the top.
That's my job. Leaders lead.
Wow.
Very powerful experience. This is what coaches do. They continue to raise the bar. They move you out of your comfort zone. So in business, how do you move out of your comfort zone? And having had the privilege of working in France and working in Japan, you are out of your comfort zone. Your technical expertise no longer translates in the same way. Your communication skills no longer translate in a different way. How do you go deeper to connect with people, to really understand what's important to them and show that it's important to you? People care about the same things. They care about their loved ones. They care about their communities. They want to be successful in life. They want their communities to be successful in life. So really take the time to understand that. The old adage, people have to know that you care before they care what you know, really comes home.
What a gift that you got to be able to go lead in Japan, lead in France. And what a unique learning atmosphere that you wouldn't have had if you'd have just stayed vertical.
That's what you've got to remember in the time too. Hey, this may not feel like a gift when you first get there, but when you look back, you're going to say, this truly was a gift. I had an opportunity to push myself. I had an opportunity to grow. And when you achieve that success, it gives you confidence. Symbols and actions matter. That's what great coaches do. They show you where you're going. They show you that the hard work and the trials and the failures are going to lead to something that is better ultimately at the end.
I really love that little nugget you added there, that when moving, for example, to France, your communication skills, which might be masterful, speaking to a US audience, are slightly less valuable over there. They just have to know you care. If they get that, then the skills and the communication, they can all come along and flow behind that. You know, one of the questions we have asked every guest we've had on this podcast for the better part of 2 years, all great leaders like yourself, is that you've experienced great teams. You know what it means to be a member of great teams. Obviously, 2 national championships, incredible success. We often hear corporate executives use the word team, my team. And team is not really what they have. They have a group of people who all have the same business card. We know what it means to build a collection of people headed in the same direction. What advice would you give to a young leader trying to take a group of people who might be a little disconnected and find a way to create that bridge for them to become a team?
Great question, Don. I'd define what game you're playing. Are you playing tennis? Are you playing golf? Are you playing football? Are you playing soccer? Because that defines the roles and responsibilities. And that starts to define the level of interaction required to achieve success. What you ask from the Ryder golf team and what they can do to motivate and help other people's performance is very different than a way a football team needs to choreograph their plays and what they need to do. Define the game that you're playing. And you've got to be authentic. I had the privilege of having two great coaches in my life, Coach Tierney, and then in high school, a legendary football coach by the name of Tom Flatley. From a personality standpoint, they could not be more different. Coach Tierney was passionate and would foam at the mouth sometimes. Coach Flatley was like Tom Landry. He was stoic, but they both had this unique ability to project that they cared about their teammates, that the goal of the team was not just win the game, but to actually make the individual players better.
Wow, that is so powerful. How often have we been around coaches, leaders, others who have felt they have to emulate somebody else inauthentically? If there's anything that a locker room can read, that an office place can read, it's inauthenticity.
Yeah, people sniff that a mile away. Be authentic, be true to yourself. Believe that if you're teaching, if you're making people better, and if you have a higher purpose, that's going to form a team. And define the culture for yourself. Take a step back and say, what is the culture where I've been able to bring out my best? Where did I really feel I was part of a team? And how am I going to develop that culture with purpose? It doesn't happen by accident. The rituals matter. The celebrations matter. The system matters. Different cultures work for different teams. Define what has brought about yourself, build it with purpose, and recruit to it.
Exactly. Nothing changes the culture more rapidly than who you choose to add or subtract from your roster. You know, before attending business school, you were an infantry officer in the Marine Corps. How did military service shape your leadership journey?
Yeah, I mean, the Marine Corps is the ultimate team of teams, to quote General McChrystal. It was an amazing experience for me. I had the privilege to serve and learn from some of the most incredible women and men in this country. In order to lead, you need to learn how to follow. You have to be an assistant coach to be a head coach. You may run a business line before you become a CEO. It's a powerful message out there. The leadership team needs to be aligned. On my journey, it was that shift from being a player to being a leader. I was responsible for the lives and well-being of my 40 Marines. It instills with you this difference between what I would say being accountable and being responsible. Some people get that wrong. When you're a leader, you are accountable for everything and everybody. You delegate responsibility, but you ultimately are accountable for success, for the culture, for what happens on your watch. You need a great team of leaders. It is a team of leaders. It is your frontline non-commissioned officers that are going to carry the day. And you are a leadership team, because when things get tough, people will turn to the people around them and look for them for leadership or understanding of what's going on. It reinforced for me, hire great people, hire great assistant coaches. They are the difference makers. Spend extra time with them. I love opinionated leaders. I love passionate leaders. We bring our business team together. We debate things. People share their opinions. We stress test our strategies, our approach. We're collaborative, but we challenge each other. And then when we step off, we're aligned in terms of where we're going, the why, the what, and the how. The leader sets the tone. People look to the leader. People start to emulate the leader. They start to look to the behaviors. You set the tone in everything you do, in everything you say. and how you walk and how you show up, trying to show up as your best. And what you project in terms of your values, your character, the stuff below the surface matters as much as what you're doing in terms of your actual activities, whatever the business or whatever the role is. Character matters, values matter.
And that shows up for you, not just in your time in the Marines, but in the way you've led since. In fact, just a few months ago, you received the Major General John H. Russell Leadership Award from the Marine Corps University Foundation. It's presented annually to a, quote, distinguished American whose commitment to personal and professional excellence embodies those qualities of leadership and character uniquely associated with the Corps. The award is about what you've done with what you learned while there, not for your time in the Marines. What a great honor.
It was very humbling and was not about me. I accepted that on behalf of the Marines I served with, the great business leaders that I've worked with that have taught me the values of giving back, the values of making an impact, and the values of honor, courage, and commitment. What does it mean to have honor? What does it mean to have courage to push yourself, to continue to try to do great things? What does it mean to be resilient? The greatest thing about the Marine Corps is the power of the human spirit, the humanity. People are anchored in purpose, but they root harder for their teammates to be successful than they do for themselves. It is this commitment, this relentless spirit, and so the most powerful weapon you have is the 6 inches between your ears. It is your mind. You have never failed until you say in your mind that you failed. You've never stopped growing until you say in your mind you've stopped growing. It was just an amazing group of people, and I cannot do enough to continue to give back to that community.
I had the honor a couple of years ago to write a book with Corporal Kyle Carpenter, the youngest recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor, a Marine who dove on a grenade to save his best friend who was standing next to him. 40 surgeries later, ran the Marine Corps Marathon. The time spent with him talking about Marine spirit and what the Corps really means, it is unique. What a gift to be able to bring that into your workplace as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you've been part of a great team in business and sports and the Marine Corps, there is no better feeling. That's why you're constantly trying to recreate it. It's magical. It really is magical. And I've been blessed to experience that a number of times in different settings. When you think about the last 24 months, we've gone through a health pandemic. We're going through economic uncertainty. We're having important conversations on racial equity. There's a land war in Europe, and we're experiencing a rise in interest rates and inflation. At this time, people are looking for connectivity. They're looking for meaning. We went on this journey to say, how are we going to connect better with our clients? We need to be steadfast in guiding them through those times. We created this program called Holistic Life Planning. What is your purpose? What is your lifestyle? And what are the financial means allowed to do that? We partnered with Columbia University to create this program on life financial coaching that's been recognized out there. So we're really leaning into what's occurring to say, how does this elevate what we do? And how do we continue to extend our edge in terms of the way we deliver it? It's cooperative and it's competitive. And you're always saying, how am I going to enhance my edge? What I did to win the last game isn't necessarily what I need to do to win the next game.
Your industry's changing a lot. Even the way you go to market, the way you talk to the end user, the client, to get them to talk more holistically about life. All of those things are far more personal exchanges. What advice would you give other leaders who are looking at upheaval and change and how to best navigate the future?
Lean into it. Where some people see challenges, other people see opportunities. In periods of dislocation, that's where you separate yourself from the pack. The richness of information going out there anchors you back on what is the core of what you do. How are you helping people? How are you creating value for people? And what are the things you're experiencing? What are the things your employees are experiencing that if you integrate that into your value proposition is going to delight your customers out there? your employees, your teams, when you get them to envision that, you get these explosion of ideas and innovation and energy. And you help people take that uncertainty and turn it into opportunity.
I love that. Where some people see challenges, others see opportunities. And in this moment, these are the opportunities to go back to your core, to what were we foundationally driven to be and for whom? Those questions we can apply into small business, mom and pop stores, coffee shops. Everybody should be digging in to answer those questions. You know, you said once in an interview I read that professionally, your best decision was moving to Europe than working in Asia because of the new ideas, new cultures. But your best overall decision was a personal one. You properly said it was the decision to marry your wife. How do you build in your personal relationship life into the challenges that come with your day-to-day work?
I think we're all going through this period. I mean, in the last 24 months, we saw a convergence between personal and professional with people working at home. And in some ways, that was powerful because you had more time, you had more flexibility. In some ways, it was very intimidating in terms of how do I make the jump between what I do at the job, between what I do with my family. So I think we're all on that journey. To me, it's about bringing out your best. What I need to do with my kids is very different than what I need to do with some of my employees. So that mental shift, how do you take off that jersey and put on a different jersey? How do you go from going out on the field to going back to the classroom? What is that link between the two? It's doing your best, it's showing up with your values. How you want to show up in that moment is very different. And the power of having a partner allows you to make that transition. And at the same time, who can you go to that you really want to share your inner thoughts, your inner feelings? Who do you go to that reconnects you to your core, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in your professional life, whether that's a friend, whether that's a parent, whether that's your partner that regrounds you? Essentially, at the end of the day, who gives you that hug? That hug is that encouragement that says you're a good person, you're trying your best, and tomorrow is going to be a better day. The power of having a partner is all about somebody that's going to grow with you, someone that's going to help you grow.
Wow. Who gives you that hug? I love that. So important that you have that person giving you that hug. That person can give you the kind of encouragement and honest speaking that you need, which is powerful. You know, I've spent 30 years in journalism, and I've asked over the course of that window, 2,500 of some of the best coaches and athletes, if they can identify one habit that they believe allowed them to separate themselves from their competitors, something that they build into their daily routine that they think gives them an advantage. Is there a habit that you think made a difference for you?
Visualizing what success looks like, visualizing what that perfect shot looks like, visualizing what that play looks like, and building that into what I do at work or what I do at home. What is the outcome that success is going to look like? And then breaking that down into a more tactical of visualizing how I want to show up in the meeting, how I want other people to feel in the meeting, and then what are the steps that are going to get there. After that event has occurred, after you've achieved that milestone, unpack the successes and the failures. I'm a believer you learn more from failure than success. We all do.
Amen.
The agony of defeat is much more powerful than the thrill of victory. Unpack that, watch the game tape, go to bed, wake up, and now you're focused on the future. It's about the next game. Don't hang on to the successes and failures. Think about what's next, because every day is a gift to bring out your best self. Every day is an opportunity to be the person you want to be. And every day is a different chance to make an impact on people's lives.
I'm going to put you more in Coach Tierney than Coach Flatley as the way you carry yourself as a leader. You bring great energy, and I can see great passion in everything you're doing there. Give me the vision that you have right now corporately. What's success look like for you, for the company, in whatever window of time you're looking at success?
We've been around for 160 years. So visualizing success for me in the company is we're around for another 160 years helping Americans secure the next chapter in their lives and live long and fulfilling lives. The organization is going to continue to thrive and be in better hands well after I'm gone to continue to deliver for our clients. That's the ultimate visualization of success.
That's the building of great assistant coaching team. Nick Lane, how can those who are listening connect with you, the company? What are the best ways for those who might be inspired by something you said to let you know it?
I'm on LinkedIn. Shoot me a note. Always happy to help and hopefully add some value out there.
I cannot thank you enough, Nick. You probably saw me, just pages and pages of notes here. I've been scribbling the entire time, and I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. I'm so grateful that Connie, today, you have blessed us by being a great corporate competitor.
Thank you, Don. It's a real privilege to spend time with you. You're doing amazing work and you're changing people's lives out there.
Marine, leader, national champion, great storyteller. Boy, Nick Lane brought it all today. He gave us leadership lessons from across the globe. Couldn't have been any better. If these lessons resonated with you, I'd really like for you to connect with me and my team at maxwellleadership.com/Don. Together, we can next level your company culture. I mean, I love the idea that what we're learning here are the kinds of content that can help all of us grow. I'm going to give you 3 takeaways from today. It's so much fun to try to narrow them down. Not easy to do here. The first is the story about cutting corners. They were supposed to have picked up 20 balls at the end of a practice. They only had 17. They were trying to fake it out. The coach made the point to them that if you cut corners in practice, you'll find what you do in the small moments really multiplies itself and becomes the things that you will do as life continues to change and big moments present themselves to you. What a great lesson taught to him early as a freshman by the great Coach Tierney. The second real takeaway for me was about the idea about how do you move out of your comfort zone. When he talked about being assigned by Equitable to go work in both Japan and France, where his communication skills, good as they might be in English, were not his gift there. His knowledge of the industry, not what everybody was looking for there. What they needed to see, even in these other cultures, was that he cared. What a great leadership lesson that provided to him. Doesn't matter what culture you're in. If they see you care, they will follow. Finally, the third lesson that really stood out to me was when he talked about the shift in his business today and how the last 24 months have affected the way the world interacts. But instead of looking at this shift as a point of danger, he said, where some people see challenges, others see opportunities. And that in that opportunity, we organizationally can go back to the core. Who are we? Why did we as an organization even come to be? How do we make sure we take advantage of that as we move forward? I'm so grateful for the opportunity that Nick gave us today. I'm so happy that we have another amazing corporate competitor to have poured into our lives. And I hope that you will take what we've learned today, go out, be special. I appreciate you. If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Sims with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir. How
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll. Thanks for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you left us a rating and a review. We will be rolling out a new episode every Wednesday. To be the first to listen, subscribe to the podcast on our website, corporatecompetitorpodcast.com. Plus, as a thank you gift, you will receive a free chapter from one of my best-selling books on the habits of high-performing teams. Stay in touch by connecting with me on social media at Don Yeager, Yaeger, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next week, I appreciate you.